Now, today we're going to be talking about both Bittensor and Keeta, because while they might seem like an unlikely pair, they actually both have something in common that is really, really important and is worth checking out. So I want to show you a couple of different things about what is going on with each of them, and then also just an update with the general alt market to see where we are with potential alt seasons, where we are with potential runs of alts, all these different types of things. So let's go on ahead. We will take a look and go check that out right now. So first off, let's take a look at the crypto bubbles. We can see on the weekly a pretty decent move off of some on the week, but again, it is still kind of it's not an up only type of environment. We are seeing a couple of things where we are still red, actually probably on the majority of the coins, but we are very, very up on the ones that are up. So it is still an environment where you do need to be able to kind of pick your winners here. We can see though on the daily, TAO up almost 10%, the market being led by things like Trump and HBAR, but TAO definitely doing quite well, and that is of course one of the things that we are talking about today. Now if you want to go ahead and we'll take a look at kind of Bitcoin, but before we do that, you can see we did actually do a TAO trade here, ending up about 183% positive here. So really, really nice trade that we did take from TAO. I did actually talk about that in my video yesterday. This actually was only open by about 24 hours. This is a pretty quick mover here on TAO. You can see we had an entry price of just under 380 and an average close price of about 425. Now I did have multiple different profit taking points. We can check that out as well. But really what I did is I averaged out about 50%, and then I had that full take profit at the $450 mark, which is why I did that here. So you can see, of course, a pretty nice gainer on TAO here. We also do still have some of our Bitcoin trades open. We have a couple of longs that are looking pretty good here, and then we have a long that we're not quite back to the green on yet. You'll see I have been kind of averaging down as price was moving down after this kind of major sell-off here. So we did take one, of course, continue to go further down, totally fine, and then we continue to buy more and more and more. We actually bought one down here at about 104 range. We did already close that out and take profit on it just because we have seen a pretty nice move to the upside. I have also taken profits and set the stop losses to break even on both of these trades as well. So we are locked in on our Bitcoin trades, and we are essentially guaranteed to make money at this point, which is always a good thing, of course. But the big thing that we are looking for here as it relates to Bitcoin is we can see this 116,000 range has been a very, very prickly level to get past. It has been a very strong level of support prior to us breaking it, and then it is probably going to be a very, very likely strong level of resistance as well. You can see here, kind of depending on which way you slice it, being rejected by 2, maybe even 3 days thus far as we've been up here. So potentially we do see a little bit of a move back to the downside. If we do see a move back to the downside, I'm going to be looking towards about the 112,000 range, and then hopefully we can see a bounce from there and a continuation back to the upside. Now again, nothing is guaranteed in crypto. We could potentially see further moves back, potentially even retesting lows. However, I'm inclined to think that we are in a much stronger position of strength, I guess, at this point. So I'm inclined to think that if we were to see a pullback, it should be a little bit shallower than what we have seen recently. Though again, it is crypto, so anything can happen. But ideally, what we're really looking for here, as it relates to TAO and Keeta and all these others, is we need to see a continued move to the upside and continued signs of strength from Bitcoin, so we can get some more momentum heading into the altcoin market. Now, if you are interested in trading, of course, I do have the links to Weex, BTCC, and BloFin. You can see I personally do trade on Weex, but the BTCC referral bonus is absolutely fantastic with a 10% bonus on first-time deposits, basically 10% free money. It's a really, really strong deal. And then if you are an ICP fan, BloFin is doing a limited time bonus here where you can get some free ICP for signing up and depositing. If you are interested, of course, I do have the links to all of them in the description below. Let's continue moving along, and let's actually talk about TAO first, since we had that recent positive trade here. You can see a really nice move up over the past couple of days here. It was a pretty strong and a pretty quick move. Now, what we can see is we did have a pretty strong level of support here at about the 371 range. That is why I did decide to enter into that long. I guess I wasn't open over 24 hours. Maybe I'm just I'm losing track of time, because it was probably about a 5 to 7 day trade. kind of depending on when we got in. I can't remember exactly, apparently. So, but what we can see here is we were essentially just playing this swing trade. I am fully out of the TAO trade right now because I am looking for more of a retrace. I don't really think we're going to be getting all the way back down to the bottom here. I guess it is possible, but I don't really see that as being the most likely outcome. I could see something is coming back as far as like the 436 range. That I could see as a possibility, so maybe something like there. I guess maybe 438. The next one I would say is probably in this range of like the 400 range. So those are going to be the two levels that I'm looking at. And then from there, of course, this 460 level has been a pretty difficult nut to crack. So I'd be looking at this one being kind of the first level. And then next from there, about the 480 being kind of the next. And if we can break the 480 range, then we should see a pretty decent level of momentum moving to the upside, assuming we don't see a wick like we have seen multiple times in the past. If we do break past this, let's call it the 500 mark. If we can break past the 500 mark sustainably, then we really will be above levels we have not seen since early January 2025. So that will be very, very good signs for TAO. We will see if we can get there. I think obviously a couple of different things that we need to pass through first before we get there, but TAO is definitely exhibiting signs of strength, and TAO is also really catching some attention with some really smart people. I was listening to the All In podcast the other week, and they were mentioning, one of the hosts was mentioning TAO specifically by name, saying that what they're doing is really interesting, and he has started to acquire a position in. Now, of course, that's not financial advice. That's not a solicitation to buy. It's not me telling you to do anything. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing within this space, and you, of course, can do what you want with that. Now, if you go take a look here at this post, we could see, I think this is a great post that really kind of sums it up here. We could see here, Bittensor is a $1 trillion asset trading at $4.5 billion market cap. The first TAO halving will take place in less than 50 days. We all know what happened to Bitcoin's price after each halving. Study Metcalfe's law versus Reed's law, exponential growth incoming, and then of course there are only 21 million TAO tokens or TAO coins, just like Bitcoin. So there is that potential that where we do see a pretty nice move back to the upside. I hold TAO, I own TAO. I'm going to be continuing to acquire more TAO as well. So something very interesting to see here. Now, moving along, I want to show you some news about Keeta as well, because Keeta, while it did have a really, really difficult couple of months, has really started to turn around, and it's sitting on a key level right now that I'm actually looking for an entry into a long swing trade if we can continue to hold this level. So we're going to go take a look at that as well. But before we do that, I want to give you some of the news that is kind of showing some of that maybe potentially turning of the tides for Keeta. Now we can see here the mainnet is ramping up. Total transactions since launch as of yesterday was 201,000. Overnight, it doubled to 464,000. So definitely a lot more transactions coming through the network. Also, the ChainSpect app is showing a sharp move up in daily use. You can see here a 54,000% increase. Now, again, this is not because, there's been a massive increase in transactions. Well, of course, there has been relative, right? But we're not looking at we're still only doing about 3 transactions a second. Now, Keeta can handle much, 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 much more than that. We just haven't really actually seen a sustained use of that level quite yet on Keeta. So again, kind of the main thing needing here is adoption. But transactions doubling this quickly is definitely a good thing to see. So we will want to be tracking this very closely. Now, if we do look at the Keeta chart, I did do a Keeta video a couple days back, and I wanted to show you kind of exactly what I was seeing. So we'd seen this move back to the upside. We'd started to see, actually, I think it was maybe this move. Again, I can't remember exactly. I think it was this move. And I had said, I'm looking to see us do a break, which we did do, and then a retest here, which was good, and then we were kind of coming back down. And so I said I'd like to see another retest and a bounce here, and that is kind of like, if we do that, I will be looking to enter into a long position. Now, of course, that did not happen, and I said if that does not happen, which it didn't, then I would be looking for it to come back down to this level, hold some level of support, and then move back to the upside. So As you can see here, we've come back down once, twice, and now 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 times, back on this level is kind of where we're at. So I do think that this support is holding. It is showing a decent level of strength. And so if we do start to see a bounce, or if we do continue to see this hold here, then I will be looking to enter into a long. I might actually even look to enter a long here and just have a relatively tight stop loss. Let's call it maybe at the 46-cent range. If we want to be even more careful, maybe like the 44.75-cent range would be another decent place to put it. Again, these are all just my analysis of the charts. You need to be making your own decision. There is always that possibility that we see a rogue wick come down. Maybe we even come back down to this level of support. Maybe we even come back down to this level of support. We don't know for sure, but at least from my perspective, for a kind of low risk, relatively, again, there's still risk, but relatively low risk to relatively high reward, this could be a decent time to enter into a trade, because you could put a relatively tight stop loss here, as I mentioned, anywhere between kind of like the 46-cent range and the 44.75-cent range. And then we could be looking at take profits starting at about the 56-cent range, all the way up to potentially even like the 65-cent range. And if we wanted to carry kind of a moon bag here, I mean, there's clear price action all the way up to about $2.30. So there's definitely a very, very clear path up here for Keeta. And so I do think that there's a lot going on with both Keeta and TAO, and so I wanted to just kind of talk to you about both of them today, because I do feel pretty strong about both of them. We could be looking at a pretty decent setup for both of them to be moving. So of course, if you did find the information in the video useful, of course you know what to do. I do appreciate all of the support that you guys bring to the channel. As you can see, or as I'm sure you probably have felt over the past couple of weeks, views have been down, interest in crypto has been down, so any support that you guys can lend, it does help me out massively. So thank you very much for that. Also, if you have any comments or questions, anything like that, of course, feel free to drop those in. I do try to read and respond to those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, maybe you have any, burning questions, things like that, just drop those in the comment section, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.